Join me as we meet the great ones on the 10 o'clock news.
Tonight on the 10 o'clock news.
3-on-1 has a new top 10, and then that's the show.
It's funny as shit.
Welcome to the 3-on-1 podcast. I'm Matt Ryan, joined by Big Rob Fabian and Corey Hemmon. And yes, I'm keeping all of that in because we're recording this 2 hours and 2 minutes before this podcast is supposed to drop audio-wise. So it's going to be fast, it's going to be furious, and we're going to be saying a lot of shit. So strap in, kids. Week 1, said and done. Corey, you all right, buddy?
I mean, what are you asking for? I didn't get hit even close to as hard.
They knocked your hair off. All of your beautiful hair is gone.
Yeah, you literally look different than you did last week, Corey. Please.
Those were separate instances. I don't think anybody on the animals. Yeah, I'm not that old. I'm not out here running like with white hair. It's at least gray. It's salt and pepper, and cold pepper.
But shout out to Bebo, our orb winner, alongside Dwan Williams. Yes,
that's wild, because the only reason you didn't give number 14 the orb, because he did it.
Because we don't know his name?
Is because you don't know his name, and he told I asked him 16 times his name, because I was like, I got to mention you. I know his last name's Kemp, but...
Kemp?
I believe his name is Cheese Whiz Kemp.
Cheese Whiz Kemp?
It can't be Cheese Whiz. It could be Cheddar.
No.
It could be Cheddar.
Kemp?
Cheddar Kemp.
Well, that boy nice. Either way.
Yeah.
Regardless, the mistake we made going into the season against the Animals was not recruiting him somehow. And he's right now the front runner for rookie of the year.
I can say that. I can agree.
With 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and almost broke a 3-on-1 return.
Yeah, that boy nice, man. He's nice.
We'll talk about the Animals later, but give him the orb. Even though Bebo had a good game, I don't want to take away from the fellow quarterback.
Bebo had a phenomenal
game. He may get
game.
the orb, but he's got a challenge in week 2. As that's our first game when we return on April 7th. No games this week because of Easter, so put some Lincoln Logs in a sock drawer and enjoy yourself. But when we return on April 7th, we'll throw things off at 1 o'clock with the Patterson U, taking on the Silk City Animals. And at 4, Corey's East Orange Renegades taking on the Trenton BIC. And then at 7 o'clock over in Vegas, 4 o'clock their time, Sick With It and OTT. That one's an interesting matchup, guys, because the OTT and Sick are one of 3 teams, the only 2 teams in Nevada who limited their opponent to 1 or less score.
Okay.
Actually, they joined the Kryptonite because the Kryptonite won 46-6. They ran Kamari Mickles' offense off the field and Jordan Davidson out of Nevada. The Pit Bosses fell to the Sickwit at 48-6. We look around the league. The Nightcrawlers, with only about a third of their roster, put 50 on the heads of Joey Bate and also Woody Nash Charles as they defeated the Ghosts 50-30. The Covington Heist gave the Indianapolis Octane a very unpleasant welcome to the league, 41-12. The Patterson U made the Baltimore Watchmen have a very uncomfortable drive down I-95 with a lot of questions, and we'll get into that in the top 10 when they won 42-18, did the Patterson U to start off 2024, setting one hell of a tone. As we said before, the Kryptonite over the Hunters 46-6. The Chaos shut out the QC Crush 41-0. The Insomniacs won a closer game than they wanted it to be, Rob and Corey, 38-25. That would have been a game I would have delighted in calling in because that could have given somebody a anxiety attack, especially if they weren't rooting for the Insomniacs to begin with. Snow Tribe fell to the BIC 42-0, and mirroring that score out at Liberty High School, the Gold falling to the OTT in our nightcap 42-0, and as we said before, the Animals winning against the Renegades 21-8. That is your A7FL scoreboard, brought to you by Carmichael's Southern Cuisine. You can look them up in our bio on our Instagram page or in the information on this podcast and on the YouTube page on the A7FL YouTube channel. That food was fucking delicious. And if you're at the games at Asbury Park, get yourself some Carmichael's and let them know the 3-on-1 sent you because we're very handsome. But speaking of handsome, it's time for the top 10 list. And gentlemen, we start with the number 10 team, one of the few teams this week on this list that weren't on it in week 1. This is one of 2 teams that did not start the year on our top 10 list, and it's a team that I believe we take seriously, but when you put them against their fellow division compatriots, the Sin City Chaos, you get a very big brother, little brother relationship, Big Rob, and that at number 10 is the Covington Heist.
You know what's funny? No, you know what's funny? I don't remember them being at 10. And I know we just went over this. I don't remember them being at 10. But
you zone out at 10 every week.
Every week, right?
It's
I
cursed.
do, don't I?
It is kind of cursed. But even though I don't want to step on your toes, Rob, because you're a huge fan of the Ohio division, I think it's interesting what you said, Matt, with the big brother, little brother. And we talk a lot about the Vegas division and how the Insomniacs, they would benefit from having a true number 2, a true rival, as we've kind of grown used to and accustomed to with, some of the matchups in the Northeast. That goes for Ohio and Florida as well. There's, at least right now, early in the season, based on last year and what we've seen so far this year, there is the kind of the front runner in those divisions. I think those divisions would benefit the most from also having that true number 2. And when we mention the Heist, the last time those 2 teams played, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, it ended on a pick 6 in overtime.
It was
to decide the division. So that might line up to be a tighter race than we realize. And honestly, as much as Rob is rooting for the Chaos, I might be rooting for the Heist to kind of keep pace, because if that can be a rivalry in that division, it prepares those 2 teams to kind of, compete against each other in the regular season, which could lead to them figuring out ways to become better for the postseason. And I think the Heist deserve their spot in the A7FL top 10 of week 2 in this 2024 season.
I just have a funny feeling there's a team that's not in the top 10. Because, again, for whatever reason, I blanked when you said these teams. I'm like, yeah, it's the teams we thought of. But now I'm feeling like I didn't hear a team, and I'll complain after the top 10. I'll complain as to why I don't think the Heights belong there if this team's not on the list. So we can move forward.
Well,
ooh, little tease for a little debate later, because we have no chemistry and always argue. But anyway,
what? I don't like any of you motherfuckers.
They force us to do this every week.
Yeah, I entice you with sandwiches, but on the number 9 spot, one of only 2 teams on this list with a loss heading into week 2, and they follow each other on this list, gentlemen. A team that I think underperformed, and I believe it's because personnel that showed up on Sunday, they didn't expect to be there 5 days before. And I think it threw a huge wrench in their works, and they were trying to force what worked last year, and that's the Baltimore Watchmen. Rob, we saw a team that did not seize upon the potential we saw from them in 2023. And Nick Mays going to the Patterson U is a huge loss. And that was evident when he was running over quarterbacks who just about a year ago he was sitting next to me celebrating a division championship with.
Right. Again, even in this spot, if I'm not mistaken, in my brain, I think the team that's above this team, I thought there was a switch, but that's neither here nor there. But the Watchmen being at the number 9 spot, it kind of shows that we still respect them as a team, regardless of what the score was. Because right now they face quite possibly, arguably, the 1 or the 2, number 1 or number 2 best team in this league. And they got punched in the mouth. They hung in there for a little bit, but once, Huff started huffing, it's really tough to get there. But there was a lot of bright spots on the Watchmen, so I don't really want to take away. The loss doesn't take away from all the bright spots.
No,
Humble Beast came out there and put in work.
And I want to shout out the creators on Creator Sports Network, because I watched a couple back, and they were all in love with the Humble Beast.
Yeah, Humble Beast.
How could you
is
not
a
be?
monster.
How could you
gotta
not
get
be?
him a
Because he
Thick
does.
Boy season shirt. Get it for him
For
in
real.
like maybe lilac or a mint. And you can get
Right.
those shirts at tinyurl.com/A7FL merch. That's tiny.
If we had him on the show, he'd pick Huss, but I don't think it's a Huss. I think it's a Huff. What were you, how do you pronounce it, Rob? The move when you're of that size?
It just sounds like oof, 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 oof.
Yeah, it's like a half bark. Yeah.
So it's like Humble Beast was a bright spot. They had a couple of guys on defense that was showing up a little bit. Super Saiyan looked poised.
They were right. Here's the way it goes. They were right there until U opened it up, and then that's sometimes what happens with you. None at all. Yeah. But I think Rob mentioned it during the broadcast, and I think the one thing that when you look at what happened, and Matt, you mentioned it, a lot of what happened kind of happened before the game. We talk about Nick Mays, huge pickup. It was for me, it was Maurice Taylor. That offensive line for the Watchmen, it didn't look like they lost as many of the actual human beings because it looked like a lot of the same guys.
They kept the size, but
they did not. Yes, because Mo Taylor apparently looked like he was the brain in the U brain, like an ant hive. He was the one doing all of the thinking or all of the strategy or all of the preparation because without him there to anchor their offensive line, it looked like they were lost against the U. And that to me is the biggest loss that the Watchmen suffered. Not to the U, which a lot of teams are going to lose to this year. You know, not at any of the other skill positions, including both of their quarterbacks. They looked weak at the offensive line position. And when last year they were either the best or among the top 3 offensive lines.
And I'm going to be fair. It was Big Nate who was replacing Maurice Taylor that kind of looked a little subpar. There was some miss.
I think I seen Berger miss a block. Right?
No. Anybody miss a block.
Exactly.
But Berger was doing his thing. But since it's an offensive line, it's a unit situation. If one falls, you kind of all got to take the fall, which is very unfortunate. It kind of falls on who the star is, so it makes Berger look bad. And Big Nate's not terrible. It's just with that. Again, this is not a you conversation, but having to deal with a rotation of defensive linemen.
I mean, that's part of it too. Yeah.
It's tough, And I'm really speaking on what the Watchmen had to deal with versus speaking on anything about the U until we get to them. The Watchmen didn't look bad.
No, not at all.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't think they're in trouble. Yeah.
I don't think they're in trouble.
It's the same thing that cost them against the Nightcrawlers. They had one drive, 2 drives to where they got stalled, couldn't figure it out, and the defense got the best of them because they were just able to figure them out that drive.
Right.
And when you go up against an offense that is anchored either by Logo Davis and Mark Bagway or Quattrell Huffin and now Jason Sisson, because holy shit, that combination, we'll get into that later. But when you're going up against that where 2 plays, 3-play drives, and you have to go back, and when your offense is slow it down, use the big man to run, set up the wide receivers, and you lose Marcellus Pack, you lose some players when it comes to speed.
It's a lot of losses. Those are the losses that the Watchmen took that I think hurt them more than anything versus losing the game to the U. Those player losses are rough. They're just rough.
And just to hammer it home, the Mo Taylor thing, they lose a really good offensive lineman, but I think that just kind of shows you some of the intangible leadership qualities inherent to a guy like Mo Taylor. Like, he's one of those stalwarts from way back to the Gators.
Maurice nice, man. Maurice nice, bro.
And nice. Look, just like a similar kind of situation, a guy that runs is very integral in running the team, but also plays like Ken Stansbury. Stansbury's a good player. But you take him away from the vocal leadership and the behind the scenes maneuverings that he does.
It might be a shit show.
It's a bigger impact than I think we were prepared for seeing Mo Taylor go from one to the other.
Yeah,
and I think it also shored up a team in the Watchmen's opponent that were, maybe not. I don't want to spoil anything, but we're likely going to talk about later on in this list. And that's why the Watchmen, I guess, are number 9 in the A7FL. Top 10 of the week 2 of 2024, the 10th season.
And we roll on and we go.
You like how I put a little cap on everything, Matt? And
yeah,
talk
I
over
like
my
it.
bad.
We actually during the off season we sent Corey to hosting camp in the woods of the Catskills. There he.
You heard what I did to that guy from Fordham, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
Hey, yo.
No, not like that.
No Diddy, my boy. You got to be careful.
It is number 8 on our list, and a team that
Oh, my God.
Dem Forces, the Vegas Force, in the number 8 spot. And while they climb up in the top 10, they go from being in the bottom 5th to towards the middle of the pack. Had a better than expected showing against the Insomniacs, but it can go back to that question of, was it the Insomniacs not performing, or was it the Force meeting the champions, or is the level raising up? There's so many different ways you can look at it, whether it's on this side of the ball, that side of the ball, the other side of the ball, whatever. When you look at all the different ways coming out of this game, Force still put 25 on the national champions, but they're
one of the few teams to hold the Insomniacs in their kind of like their new history. Right, we're gonna kind of just completely gloss over the first year where they couldn't win in the spring of the fall.
Different management.
Exactly, right. So the new itineration, they held them under 42 also, right? That's kind of part of the story too. And let's be clear, because if you want the full breakdown of a lot of the Vegas games, check out the other side of the ball Wednesday nights at 5:30, 8:30. They do a great job of actually talking about the games. But the Force going up from 10 after a loss, I think, yes, some of the things that the Force showed us, we now kind of it almost clarified, I think, the hope that we had for them coming into the season. And I will say, although there was some left to be desired, the De'Aaron Fox in the Force uniform, to me, looked a little bit better than the De'Aaron Fox that we've seen in the fall, with maybe, that's an unspoken about thing with the quarterback. You throw him into a new system, new guys, not familiar with everything. It doesn't always work perfectly. He's back in the right uniform, against a really tough opponent in the Insomniacs. Long story short, Force moving up, I think it says a lot about how we feel about the Insomniacs. That when we look at a team in the Force and, yeah, they lose, they give the Insomniacs a run for their money, but they move up on our list. It kind of is that validation that, we take the Insomniacs for real. And I think anything that happens later or could be said, just look at what we did with their opponent that they played. We respect the Insomniacs so much that when they beat a team, we feel better about the team that they beat. So, yeah,
I'll just keep it force focused. I'll just keep it really force focused. Regardless of what this reason was for the team that they played to underperform or perform as they should, and allow a team like the Force to even keep up, it's credit to the Force, because at the end of the day, those are the defending champs, and you had them sweating, even if they say they weren't. I was like, I'm looking at the score and I'm like, wait a second. I know the team you guys are playing are a second half team. I'm expecting that, but the score's too close for my comfort. You know what I'm saying? And I have to just give credit to the Force for recruiting. They must have listened to all the, harsh critique that I've been given throughout these weeks. Recruit, and again, Corey, you kind of mentioned it earlier. Like, teams everywhere need a number 2 or number 3 team to compete with. Iron sharpens iron. We know this. We can't really get better unless the other teams are getting better, because you're going to get lax and shit happens, and then you're going to run into a BIC or the U or the Watchmen and not be prepared for that team. So honestly, it's really heavy shouts out to the Force, regardless of the loss, to even make it to the top 10. 0-1, in my opinion, is very impressive. It's only week 1. Shit's going to change every single week. So if anybody's upset about where you're placed, hey, that's your problem. Do something about it. But the Force, in my opinion, the Force and the Watchmen could have been interchangeable. But all in all, I know this sounds so fucking crazy, but the Force had a worse loss. I mean, a more impressive loss than the Watchmen did. So
Well,
I can,
especially when we do
you
it
know,
by the numbers and we talk about
yeah,
point differential and strength of
right,
opponent. When you go based on just the metrics and take the emotion out of it,
yeah. The
we had
Force
the U.
was
Well, no,
better.
but we had the U ranked lower. The Watchmen lost, excuse me, by a wider margin. We had the Insomniacs higher, and the Force lost by a
A smaller
shorter
margin.
margin.
Yeah, that's it.
Win your games, and in a few weeks when we do the next version of this, there might be some shuffling around. So,
Well, there will be some shuffling around.
and
Promise you
that's
that.
why the Vegas Force are the number 8 team on the A7FL week 2 of 2024. 3-on-1 top 10.
And when you talk about the Force, you got to talk about Devontae Moncrief and Jaden Webb making the jump to that team too. Two really young players. Moncrief, she's 22, and Jaden
Jeez.
Webb 20, just turning 23.
I mean, 22 for a running back, though, is like middle-aged. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Relax.
But 6'1", 230, that's
Impressive.
what you want in a young athlete right there. He is certainly a stud for the Vegas Force this year and looking to make things happen. As we move on in the top 10, we go to a team, Corey, that heading into this season, I did not think we would see this high or let alone on the top 10 list, but undefeated team and a team that won 21-8 against your East Orange Renegades. The Silk City Animals are back in the top 10. Huffless.
Clap it up for the animals, the actual animals, not the Huffables. The joke's over. It is over, ladies and gentlemen. Bebo is here. Number 14, Mr. Kemp is here. The young man that dressed in all white with no number, with a
The
t-shirt
Ghost.
on, Ghost is here. Spellman is here. Listen, it's about damn time. And honestly, again, what I feel like happened is the animals are tired of the narrative. They're sick of it. They're sick of us. They're sick of people thinking they were the Huff show, which they were. But when you come out the way they came out on Sunday, like they came out swinging. Like they didn't, usually teams, higher level teams are jabbing, trying to fill shit out. No, 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 no. Not these animals. They came out swinging. And honestly, I think that intensity is probably what caught the Renegades off guard, because I felt like it would have been a much closer game had they came out jabbing and chin checking and checking
Well, I mean,
reach and shit. But
it
they
was a
didn't do
close
that.
game until the second to last drive. I mean, there were moments in the second half, and we can criticize my team and my game as much as we want, and maybe we will. But this is about the animals. That was a game that could have gone a certain way at a certain point. But I think we need to give credit to the animals because this is the top 10 list. Looked like at times they had a pretty good offensive line.
Yeah, honestly.
The defensive line was able to make enough plays, and you saw what they could do.
Mm-hmm.
They
No,
have
you saw what they could do.
well, we're talking as a collective group, and you guys were the ones calling the game,
But
making
no,
all those
I was
accusations
impressed.
unfairly to people that look like a savanna prey animal. Anyway,
Oh my goodness! But no, I was very impressed with how they came out. I was impressed with the recruiting. I was impressed with the poise, and again,
and they made the
when you
plays when
get,
they needed to make them. But I
they
will say
did,
this:
they
let's not
did.
gloss over the fact that and shout out to Bebo, great game. He managed the game well. He called good plays.
Yeah,
Was able to effectively run, effectively throw. Something that to be clear, in my history and watching Bebo specifically, I had not seen him complete that many passes. And to be
right.
fair, he completed the fade, which is like kind of like my favorite route, more times than I did head to head. So he gets that. But I will say this: that game's a different game if Cheddar Kemp, number 14, doesn't get 2 interceptions, right? And those were kind of like 50-50 balls. It wasn't like, some of the interceptions in this league gets thrown right to him. No, he had to challenge both Dondre and Goose for those interceptions. He made contested catches for touchdowns.
Right.
So to put the points on the board, and he damn near, in a must-stop situation, he damn near scored on the 3-on-1. So I think the Animals, in losing Huff and losing some of the guys, what they gained from last year is the understanding of how to put it together to get those wins.
Mm-hmm.
The confidence that they can do it again, because, you know, sometimes when you're stuck on the mat, it's hard to get back up. They obviously showed that they could do that. But I think, you know, when it comes down to it, on a 7-on-7 league, when you have one-on-one matchups all over the field, number 14 was winning those one-on-one matchups consistently. And, you know, we'll eventually learn his full government name and maybe give him another nickname. But listen, Cheddar was money. I don't know where the cheese was came, but now it's just Cheddar Kemp. Cheddar was money.
I don't know.
And I
don't know.
I bow, you know, and I dop of the cap to my guy who you know, made me look a little less than
Kemp,
perfect.
No, you see how Kemp got Corey stuttering? I've never seen Corey act like this, man. It was that bad, huh?
Well, listen, I'm trying to show the league how to act when your team loses and you're a big part of it, instead of, you know, going out there and trying to find the excuse or defend myself like some kind of loser. Look, I lost, but give credit to where credit's due. I should have made plays that were made.
Honestly, the credit goes to the Santista Brown brothers for doing the right thing. And he said it. He said, bro, we're taking this season more serious. So they got off their asses. And one of the things I complained about with everyone in this entire league was recruits. And they did just that. They brought in Kemp, and now Kemp, whoever, and I don't think that's.
And I think they got 5 Omegas that I didn't even know were playing, but they got Jay Rolla, Mike Spellman, they got Steven Rivera, and then they got the guy that was wearing number 7.
Spellman, I think.
No, Spellman wasn't wearing number 7. The guy that was wearing number 7, making plays as a wide receiver and returner, well, his name's 6. So six was wearing 7. So, okay. But, you know, shout outs to my Omegas guys finding life in the league. Honestly, I didn't even know they were playing, or I might have recruited them. But, you know, Animals, big win. Looking at the season now with an undefeated record. It's nice to say after week 1, they got all the hope in the world. Let's see what they can do in 2 weeks. But they're the number 17 on the A7FL top 10 of the week 2 of 2024, 10th season. I should probably stop doing it because I keep messing it up. But
you did say 17 when they are number 7. A question about the number 7 spot.
Seventh team. 7th team.
Okay. Well, good save.
Kim got him stuttering.
But Rob, the team that was in the 7th spot last week was the Rahway Snow Tribe. Right now, knowing what we know, straight up, 60 minutes, Asbury 4 o'clock conditions. Straight up, no over, no under, no money line. Who gets the win?
Who versus who?
Snow Tribe and the Animals.
Animals blow them the fuck out. Sorry. Oh God, I keep cursing. Oh man,
You're allowed on the pod.
No, you can curse.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to do better, but yeah, Animals annihilate them, bro. It's not even a game. And I'm gonna tell you why. People are gonna think, oh, he's being biased. He's being critical. No, the Animals played like a team. I didn't see that with Snow Tribe from top to bottom. Players were getting dressed and leaving early.
Is that
coaches?
Is that endemic with this team?
Hey, I'm going to say something, and everybody here and people who are listening, the long-time listeners, are going to understand. When the head isn't right, the body's not, it's not going to work. So whoever's at the very top, whatever he's doing up there is why the team's legs are wobbling and the arms don't work and the chest, the heartbeat's not right. It's just
it makes you want to take your shirt off and throw it into the wind, Rob.
Honestly, the frustration, I've had this frustration since the offseason because in my heart I knew nothing was going to change. And then you got to remember, I have a good friend on that team who's helping out over there, and Ant Live.
Shout out
And
Frank.
I hate to see him go out like that because I know his mind and I know how his defenses are set up, and I know he knows where to put people. And again, yes, they went against BIC and best team in the league, arguably 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever. Bro, what you don't go out like that. You just don't. You just don't. And again,
do we wanna do pause the top 10 and just do the Snow Tribe thing?
No, I think it's a quick little, I don't want to stay here
let's just because here's the thing. I think they could have played BIC and lost and have it not be this, that, let's just say there's a hypothetical situation in which there's a lot of guys that are, bigger names, looking to, for the escape hatch, for lack of a better term, after just 1 week. We don't need to get into that, but there's a way that they come out of this game and lose, because I think it was a similar situation that we saw in the Vegas division, where Insomniacs are playing a team that they should beat. But, when you face a team that has that name recognition, that is the better team, that is the favorite in the matchup, look at what we think of the Force now. You can lose a game and still feel good about your team.
That's the
What is it that? But that's what I'm saying. So let's further identify what it is about the game, because a lot of teams have and will lose to BIC in the A7FL Northeast Division and in the playoffs probably, right? But what was it about that specific performance that makes it feel like this Snow Tribe team is relatively close to, a catastrophic level of chaos? Not Sin City, by the way. We'll talk about you guys maybe later. What is it about that performance?
Let's just call a spade a spade. It's deep. Again, it's deeper than the performance. It's the head.
I agree, though. I agree. But when we're watching, just so that we can talk about it, because I have a few. But when we're watching that game, what is it about what we're seeing, the statistical and empirical information that we can latch onto that makes us feel that
know
way?
What it wants to be.
I think that's part of it.
Because
absolutely.
The game starts with Mike Liberti behind center playing the Wildcat offense that some people claim is supposed to be the Snow Tribe offense. That was what it was supposed to be when they came into the league.
I talked to Liberti. You know what the second play was supposed to be, and they messed it up? Baltimore special. And then a guy, because they had 6 guys, a guy came into the huddle, so then they had to have the guy that was, so they messed it up. But yeah, I agree. I just wanted a little inside A7.
And then they go to Jonathan Keels in the third quarter, and they put this guy who's a D1 product against the toughest competition after giving away completely what their offense is and leaving this guy out there to get popped.
Yeah, they put him out there for the first time ever in an A7FL game against BIC's defense on 3rd and 14.
Like and this is what I'm saying. It's tough. I don't want to latch onto a single player and even blame them, because again, who told Liberti to go out there the first 2 plays? Who then told Chris, who's never played an A7FL down in his life, to go out there against one of the perennial best teams in the league? And then whose decision was it to wait till the third quarter to put the best option at quarterback you had in the game, but down several scores, and expecting him to make miracles? My thing
do they to 36 total pass yards?
Do they? Well, yeah, that's wild.
That's ridiculous.
I had that on my first drive, and people are saying that I had a terrible game. But anyway, 30. What? The whole game they had 36?
Jesus, man.
Yeah, 36 total passing yards across 3 quarterbacks.
I mean, Dondre is 36 yards tall.
Kenneth Stewart went 2 for 9.
Don't do it to him. Don't do it. Don't do this. Don't do it. Do that.
No, Chris Andrews went 1 for 2. Liberti did not throw the ball, but he was sacked. And Keels
Chris Andrews went
more
than that
8.
because he, but but Andrews went more than that because he had more interceptions than that.
Fair. This is composite stats, so.
Well, whatever. Shout outs to those guys. They did their thing. But all right, so I think Matt's onto it, and then Rob, I feel you on not pinpointing it, but doesn't it feel like when you watch the Snow Tribe and they're in a game that they don't feel like they're working together as a collective unit, but a lot of mercenaries just saying that it's messed up that I'm not the one doing the thing or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
call it what it is. They're not a team, bro, and that's why again when you
And
have
that's
guys,
yeah, go ahead,
crucial
Matt.
pieces, you got crucial pieces on your team leaving at halftime or before halftime because a coach benched them or a coach just pulled them. You have shit like that going on. There's no success there. I've been on championship caliber teams. I've been on teams that didn't win a single game. I never in my life experienced some of our best guys getting dressed and leaving when we were losing. Like I just don't know what that is. I'm not. That's not my thing. It's not something I'm gonna ever promote. It's disgusting. And when you have guys like that who are that selfish, but then you also have management who are not really doing anything about it, you're gonna always suffer like that. And this is why again when Trey Baskerville went over there, and I had such a harsh critique like, bro, what are you doing? Like, why would you go there? You're like, oh, you'll see. And he couldn't even get a proper. He couldn't play a proper game.
You know what it reminds me of? The Washington football team.
Tough.
The Los
Remember all
Angeles
those off
Angels
seasons?
of Anaheim.
Yeah, remember how many off seasons the Washington football team would win, and they would be like, "Oh, we signed all these guys to big deals with money."
Just to find out they suck.
Well, to find out that once you get that payday, I guess you're not playing for the same reason. So maybe, I don't know. I think it's tough because when you look at the Snow Tribe, there's a lot there that you could work with. I think that going into a matchup against BIC is a tough one. And where did they mess up? They messed up, in my opinion, because if their identity is what they want it to be, Suge had one rushing attempt.
Suge was hurt. Suge got hurt after that
Fair.
attempt.
Okay.
I did check in on
but
that.
Then they have Liberty. But then they have Liberty. They have Darius Pearson. They have other running backs. They want that to be their identity. Keels, obviously, as he showed in the game, he probably had more. He probably had more rushing yards than he had passing yards.
Bro, but he's their best option.
But I guess that's not a surprise. And then when it came down to it, they put up 3 touchdowns for BIC with passes of their own calling. They called passes that they threw to the team in red. And those guys, well, Dwan specifically, shout out to Orb winner Dwan. I don't know. I think they need to figure out the quarterback position, which seems like a broken record thing that we're talking about.
Hey man, fire Mike, man. Mike gotta go. Fuck it. I'll rip the Band-Aid off. Mike gotta go, bro. I'm sorry.
I think Mike Sims is a good person. I think he
He's
does
a great
lot
person. I love him
for the guys
that
play for that team. But I will, this will be my last thing that I say about Snow Tribe this week until, maybe we'll probably get calls and then we'll have to.
Yeah, I'm not picking up the phone. Don't call. If you're from Snow Tribe, don't call me.
But I will say this, when I was at those mandatory meetings talking about the Snow Tribe season before I was cut from them last year, well, it's what happened. The conversation would be about jerseys, social media posts, and sponsors, not formations, personnel packages, schemes, and formulas in which you would put on the field a product that could compete with, let's say, a BIC who, I don't know, 2 years ago, they won it all, and they've been playing flag and practicing.
They've been working together, bro. They've been working together and getting better as a team. That's not what we're seeing here.
Well, when the best thing that you can offer, and shout outs to Azuna, a great sponsor, and shout outs to those crisp, fresh white unis that they had, and all of the design that goes with the Snow Tribe logos and brand. when that's your selling point on what you're going to be doing for the team and for the organization,
We finna look good, but we ain't gonna win shit.
You're not helping build a team that can compete in the A7FL's toughest division.
Yep, look good, don't win. You know the vibes. That's the slogan.
Who's number 6?
Moving on, number 6 in the top 10, we go to the Midwest and the Sin City Chaos, who beat the fucking brakes off the QC Crush 41-0. They are one of 3 teams who walked out of week 1 making sure their opponents put 0 on the scoreboard, and one of them not on our list and the other one in, I'd say, 2 spots from now. So that's very interesting. The team on the outside looking in are the Vegas Over the Top.
Good for them. They did their thing.
They proved that they can beat the Gold. And when the Gold were at the bottom of the division last season, and we don't really know much about that team aside from Mason Canelonzi, who's still on that team, and shout out to him for trying to build up that club. It's hard to see you guys took a step
and Jeremiah
up.
Reeves that
and
they
Jeremiah
call
Reeves, yeah.
Bama, that they call Bama just because he happens to be from Alabama. So maybe they work a little bit harder on nicknames. and Mason did have, I think, a catch for about 3 yards, so worth the mention. But
the
listen,
OCT will have to prove that on next Sunday on the 7th. They go up against Sickwood.
Yeah, and we know how that game. We talk about that game last year. That might work into a rivalry based on last year's performance.
It is very much Snow Tribe BIC in that regard, but the Chaos.
But yeah, the Chaos.
Big
listen,
pickup for them in the off season, and
they got Seth Chambers, which I think. Listen, I saw multiple guys for the Chaos delivering passes, forward passes, spirals even, to guys downfield. Now, my biggest critique about the Chaos last year was their ability to schedule offense. Keno Thomas in the division was able to make guys look foolish on those impromptu, backyard football plays where he's just kind of dropping back, looking for a seam and running around. But I saw them starting to put together a passing game that's scheduled on time. There's routes, there's a drop back and throwing it at the back of a drop. So they're starting to put that together. Now, give the QC Crush credit for trying to do their thing, but this is right now, it looks like a 2-horse race in the Ohio division, and we'll see 2 other teams that have not yet played in that division, and we'll see what they got. But I think I think the Chaos moved up from 7 to 6, right?
Yep.
Or no, they stand pat.
I believe. If you give me 1 second here, I'll pull up last week's list.
Regardless, this is what they need to do. They need to do what they need to. They need to win the games they need to win by the margin they need to win by.
They actually move up from 9.
There you go. So it's moving day for the Chaos, right? That's what I'm saying. So if they continue to do the things necessary to win, eventually a team that's maybe ahead of them, maybe not, like sick with it. If they lose, Chaos. If they don't, boom, they move up. If the Heist keep winning, the Heist might move up, be another, top matchup for the Chaos. We give the Chaos a lot of crap, but now we're in season. They can prove us wrong. They haven't yet beaten the Crush. No disrespect to Dale Hathaway and Queen City, but Chaos, keep doing your thing. Keep building. The path is right in front of you. You guys just need to walk it straight and narrow and avoid the inevitable, because I think it might happen, the inevitable overconfidence, because if they continue to do what they're supposed to do, they might start thinking that they're a little bit better than they actually are based on the division and the competition they're facing. But if they keep their head down and just do the job, they might even climb a little bit higher on this list when the other teams start playing each other at the top.
Chaos had the biggest jump of any team in the top 10 this week.
Can't say we
outside of
hate.
the heist from
That's all Big Rob wet, by the way. That's because he loves you guys.
jumping from 9 all the way to the number 6 spot. We go to number 5, a team that is moving up 1 spot in the top 10. Sick with it, proving once again they're one of the most high-powered offenses in the league, starting off the Vegas season at Henderson's Liberty High School, getting a 48-6 win over the Pit Bosses. You would think it would have been more of a piñata festival, but the Pit Bosses sticking with it and making sure that Sick with it don't get into the 60 club, the 70 club, or the 80 club to start off the season.
I mean, you know what? Sick with it, winning the way they did, moving up the way they did. It's not saying that beating the Pit Bosses is not impressive. Maybe the way
the
they
Watchmen
beat
lost. That's what happened, right?
Yeah, and right, and so, but winning the way that they did was impressive, and it's kind of showing me like, hey, wait a second, guys, like we're here to make some noise, and right now, moving them up the way we did, I think I'm looking at them to play the force. That's what I want to know out of those two teams, who's better, because once that happens, I'll be able to really get into it and really talk about what I like about Sick with it, what I like about the Force.
Rob. Does having Curtis Jones help the Force beat the Insomniacs last Sunday?
Curtis wasn't there.
Curtis is on.
No,
Sick.
Curtis is on Sick with it. I don't think. No disrespect to my guy, but he's not the difference maker. A 14-point difference maker for the Force.
He's not the guy we thought he was when he came out here a couple years ago.
No, he is. He's just a wide receiver, so that's dependent.
He's not. I'm gonna keep it funky, bro. He's not who we thought he was. He's not those guys that were on the Insomniacs. Those receivers, top to bottom, even their worst receiver is better than Curtis Jones. Even their third string guy is better than Curtis Jones.
I think what happens to wide receivers is sometimes they get lost for a season because the wide receiver, more than any other position, is dependent on the quarterback giving him opportunities to make those plays. Now, what we've seen from Curtis Jones is when he's on Stick or when he was on the Pit Bosses in the fall and he has the quarterback, he can make the plays, he can get those jets, he has the speed.
But he's not
David Clark. He's not David Clark.
He's not any of those guys.
He's not to the level of Pac Money, but I think he's
one
of those weapons that can.
You got to remember, he's not relevant. I'm sorry, no disrespect. I like the guy, but when we did a top 10, he never came up. I don't even think he breaks top 15. Curtis Jones.
I think even in division, it's hard to say he's top 10 in Vegas at wide receiver based on the output last year.
And but even before, he's just not who we thought he was. We've seen high-level receivers in Vegas, and to say Curtis Jones he's mid-tier at best, and if we disrespect those high-level guys that we really saw out there when we went out there and say Curtis Jones is up there with them, that's kind of messed up, bro. And it's not a shot at Curtis.
Is this an opportunity playing alongside a guy like Ronald Gaither, Gianni Breland, getting the ball thrown to him by Jeremy Geary, or Darren Palmer, being Darren Palmer's line mate along with Justin Shepard at running back? Is that not a great opportunity for a guy like Jones to get the ball more? Because there's a limited amount of coverage you could put out on the field.
Well, Darren Palmer is the true number one wide receiver for Sick with it. The question is who is that second guy? Is it Betts? Is it now going to be Pac-Man? Is it Nathaniel Webster Spencer? Is Gaither the wide receiver, or do they put him at tight end, or So I think the question is who's going to step into that second role. I think the answer will end up being. Well, I think the answer will be it's a mixture of all those guys, including guys like Lavish T. When Tierra Edwards is 100% healthy after that injury. But my thing with Pac-Man is it's funny that he's got that name. To me, I don't look at where he, how he compares specifically to like a David Clark or an Eric Schuford, because I don't think there is a comparison, at least right now, at all, right? But I would say that the way that he can affect the game is he runs those jets and he has that speed. He's a pretty good returner. And
you kind of hurt yourself saying that, because right before you said this, you said we're looking to see who would step into that second role, and you said it's a combination of all of them. But a clear-cut elite guy, there is no.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's that.
Him.
I'm saying to me, he feels like what the role, at least, and this is not saying that they're the same player. The role that he's going to fill is like the Marcellus Pack role for BIC. Now, if Marcellus Pack is the number one option on a team like Snow Tribe or something, he's one of the most targeted and gets the most touches in the entire season. Don't mistake what I'm saying. But when you need a guy to come in and attack the edge on a jet with the speed, a receiver to take the top off of the defense, or a capable 3-on-1 returner, Pac-Man Jones fits that bill, and we'll see how he kind of tries to reclaim the king of Vegas thing that he started year one, which obviously, and I agree with Rob, as Rob has laid out, Pac-Man Jones, really good player. I also think some of the negativity towards his game, it does directly relate to last year not having the same type of, opportunities that we saw guys from the Insomniacs and Stick With It have, because of the quarterback play from those two teams.
All right.
I'm for here.
I know.
Yeah.
I was just waiting to see if anybody else had a point, and then we were going to move on.
Nope. I'm cool right here.
But we'll move to the team in the 4th spot who had a multiple of these players of that number on the field and on the sideline on Sunday as they battled the Orlando Ghosts. And great chemistry or not, Corey, it was not enough as the Nightcrawlers got the win 50-30. But the Ghosts, get a chance at redemption as they play the O-Town Orange this Sunday on an Easter special on A7FL.TV. I might be calling that, but I was told if I miss Easter dinner, I will be beaten with a bat. So may not be me calling the game, but we might call it on the rewind. See how that goes. But the Nightcrawlers, we really can't say much outside of the fact that, holy shit, same as it ever was down there for the Nightcrawlers and kind of Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
This is we set up pre-show, right? All right.
Here we go.
So we're at Nightcrawlers at 4.
Yes.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, me and you agreed here, and Rob was the one that kind of wanted to flip-flop.
Rob,
I don't necessarily agree.
So let's because, I think the conversation includes both. So let's do the number 3 team and then have the conversation.
We'll do the number 3 team, have the conversation, then break down 4, which is not going to be too crazy, and then break down the number 3 team.
So
let's do that.
At number 3 is the last team on this list to keep a team scoreless in week 1, and that is the Trenton BIC. The BIC at the 3 spot, and Rob, you believe that it should be the other way around.
Yes. I only believe it should be the other way around. It's not even a detriment to who BIC was on Sunday, because BIC was BIC. They won like they were supposed to. And it's also week 1, and I don't think BIC gives a shit if they're number 3, 4, 5. I don't think they care. My thing is, BIC was practicing on Sunday. They were alternating guys. They didn't bring their full team. So it wasn't indicative. That performance wasn't who they actually are. They're better than that. The Nightcrawlers had 8 guys and put up 50. 8 guys and put up 50, and none of those 8 guys are the 8 guys we even know. Which is, to me, it's kind of showing you the depth of the Nightcrawlers and the offensive power. And I don't like to repeat mistakes. I like to correct mistakes, especially if I've made them the first time. Last year...
No, to be fair, Rob, we didn't have the Nightcrawlers in the top 10 week after week during the regular season, and I think
that
it was
a mistake.
No, it was a punishment for them not being the team that we were promised that they would have in those early weeks, because they didn't feel like it. I think it was fair.
We were wrong.
No, but you were right. You said they're coming.
I said it. No diddy, but I did say that. I said they were, but at the same time, the mistake that was being made is we were leaving them out because we didn't know anything. Me, you, and Matt sat down and watched them play at the highest level you can play in this league.
Right.
And we cannot say that that performance, even in a loss, doesn't kind of give them some grace in these top tens. So my
when
thing
they lost
was,
to Rare Breed, we talked about them the entire offseason as well. Their losses have been just as impressive as their wins.
as their wins. Say. Very true, very true. It just, to me, the 50 to 30 with 8 guys is more impressive than 42 to zip practicing.
Listen,
and it's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not really a jab at BIC, because we can talk about what we saw. We can talk about how if you put Clark Kent and Ashanti in a phone booth, Ashanti's getting out. We can talk about that.
If you guys want something interesting, our number 4 team, our number 2 team, and our number 1 team are 7th, 8th, and 9th in net points.
Which was Rob's whole argument last year. All right, so Rob kind of lays it out, and I think he frames it a way that does make sense when you go with that frame. The way I would frame it, though, Rob, is if 8 guys are able to put up 50, what does that say about the team that they faced in the Ghosts? Now, Joey Bates, my guy, Woody Ness is my guy, and I've looked at the Ghost and said, yo, that's a team that, blah, 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 2 years ago, right? We were talking about Mark Cooper and some of the playmakers they have, whatever. Now Mark Cooper is, I think, one of those guys who was on the Nightcrawlers. Devon Gray, the much maligned original MVP of the division. Then he's getting flack left and right. Well, Devon Gray is the quarterback that led the Nightcrawlers in Sunday's victory. So give him the credit. If you're going to give the Nightcrawlers the credit, he's one of the big reasons why. But to me, I think it's the opposite for me, because when you look at the 8-man team, it's not the guys that we're used to. A team allowing that type of team to put up 50. No disrespect to the Nightcrawlers at 4, right? But I would say that the performance that you have to put out there defensively to allow a team of 8 guys to put up 50 is not representative of a competitive game that we've seen the Nightcrawlers win when they are faced with that type of opponent. So I don't want to take away from the Nightcrawlers being able to do that, but you look at the point differential, it's only 20. You look at the strength of opponent, not somebody that we really look at and say, that's a really great win for them, beating the Ghosts, no disrespect to them. I do feel you, though, because we'd already talked about BIC's opponent.
Right. And you knew that's where I would go with it. It's just
right. But I think
nothing you said for the Nightcrawlers versus Ghosts wouldn't apply for BIC versus Snow Tribe.
But I think what was done to Snow Tribe was not only a symptom of who they are, but also who BIC is as well. And if Snow Tribe's facing a team like the Ghost, they don't look like the BIC made them look. And again, I'm not trying to specifically, lean into the Ghost disrespect, but
no.
To me,
let me remind you of one thing.
The game control for a 42-0 game in which you're talking about they're kind of playing with their food. The game control in the BIC game was so heavily weighted towards the team in red and black, which is weird to say when you're talking about BIC. And I think at least against Snow Tribe, they lifted that curse with the jerseys. The game control was so lopsided that when Dwan's running down for touchdowns on those returns, it looks like they're joking around the entire time.
That's what I'm saying. You're kind of making my point. This BIC.
Well, but my point is that that's how good they are. Is that they're laughing the whole time as they're doing something to a team that showed up with
BIC.
I don't know what 40 guys Snow Tribe had until they started quitting.
Their last week's performance and say, "Yeah, fellas, great us off of this." That's one. 2, if I'm correct, right? Let's just let's just. You saying the Ghost?
Play it out.
You saying the Ghost
wouldn't
beat? The Ghost wouldn't beat Snow Tribe.
I don't know, but that's what I said.
Right.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, that's what we thought when the Force came out here and beat Snow Tribe.
That's a different Snow Tribe. That was the loss
No, no, no,
to
no, no, no.
BIC by
It's
80 Snow Tribe.
It's a different Snow Tribe. They were practicing on them. Listen, a different Snow Tribe would mean they figured it out. If we're asking the same questions we were asking 2 seasons ago about Snow Tribe that we're asking today, quarterback, who's the quarterback? Why doesn't the team look like a team?
I don't know. It didn't look good. It didn't look good. But the 80 to nothing thing happened in the middle of the third quarter. For me, like, look, for me personally, when you look at a team like Snow Tribe and BIC said, "Hey guys, we're gonna win this game. Let's start getting people in who probably won't normally play, and let's mix things up," right? Versus a team who goes, "Hey, it's just 8 of us. Let's score 50." It's not saying BIC's bad. It's not. No,
I said, BIC's not going to give a shit about being 4 or 3. It's just, I think BIC practicing, I don't think BIC wants to be graded on a practice. It's like, I'm being honest. Like, it's a practice.
Listen. That's a way to do it. But unfortunately, for your point, I think Matt sided with me. So officially, number 4 is the Nightcrawlers, and number 3
is BIC.
Is BIC.
And in that, we can get into, again, Nightcrawler is going to be quick. It's only 8 guys, you know. Again, the skeleton of a team, if it's not even the core of your team, and it's just some loose change from your team that's out there, and it's only 8 of them. These guys play 8-man, they play 7-man, they play 6-man, they probably play 3-man. It doesn't matter. These guys are that good that they can go out there with just 8 guys, both sides of the ball, score 50. And that 30 points probably came from guys from being tired. It's probably 90 degrees in Florida. Lord knows what happened over there, right? But shouts to the Nightcrawlers without Bagway, without Logo, without BME Keys, without all these names we know, for getting it together, putting 50 up on the Ghost. It's really as simple as that. There's not much else to say.
And shout outs to the Parlay for covering it pretty soon, probably.
Yeah, right. So, now,
anyway,
we can move on to the number 3 spot, which is BIC. BIC, let's just say it. Holy shit. Holy shit. That is a scary looking team. They are fast.
But
they're fast.
And they were chilling, right? Do you think at what point in the game did it look like Snow Tribe kind of we won't say quit, even though I just said it. We'll say mail it in.
I'll tell you exactly what point. That Snow Tribe mailed it in. Second or third play of the game, Sterry Codgerton drops back, sees Ashanti, dots it to him. Ashanti is stuck on a hook, right?
On a 7-yard throw, yeah.
Ashanti is a yard away from the out of bounds. In front of him, at least 4 or 5 yards, is one guy. Right to his right is another guy, and then a couple of guys closing in.
It was less than 2 yards.
Okay, cool. Thank you, because you're making it sound worse.
It was within arm's reach.
Exactly. Ashanti does this little foot thing and freezes 2 grown men in their tracks. Stephen Jones, a new recruit that came from the U, runs up, lays a block, and Ashanti gets up out of there and scores 6. After that,
blouses.
It was
so
over.
That happens. Blouses.
It was over, bro.
It was over.
It was over.
And for all those people who never watched the Chappelle Show, first of all, go and watch it.
You're too young for this, bro.
And blouses means good game. It's something that Prince said in the Charlie Murphy story, whatever. Blouses. All right, anyway. Damn. You think it was that early?
Yeah, I do. Because
I don't know. Keels was trying at the end.
No.
Kenneth Stewart was trying at the end.
Keels is always gonna try. Keels is a baller. You feel me? Like, he's Keels is gonna try no matter what it looks like. You feel me? We know what Keels does. Keels is gonna always get you those hard running yards, some short passes. He's gonna dial it up a little bit. But
and
again,
I'll try. So that's the 3 and the 4 team, and we should.
But against BIC,
my bad, Deion Dawkins. You're still a great guy, and it's a great logo. It's great. You know, the whole you already know thing. You know, I would have been all for it. I would have been your biggest advocate.
Shut it up. Fuck all that. I ain't giving him no breaks. Mike, you're fired. Get that shit out of here. Anyway, BIC
36 passing yards. Last year with the Omegas, I had 200.
We didn't get Corey. Stop tooting your own horn. Thanks. We didn't really get a chance to watch Sterry Codgerton do what Sterry Codgerton does. He wasn't on the field for long.
Do you want Sterry stats?
Oh, please and thank you. I would love them.
It's gonna be a
Like
half.
9 for 10, 300 yards.
So
Disgusting.
You're close. He was 5 for 8.
Oh,
Come on, bro.
216 yards.
Come on, bro.
3 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's
Sacked
But
once.
here's the thing.
Fumbled once. Intercepted once.
Here's the thing though. A 5 for 8, 200. How many yards? 200. How many?
Come on, bro. 216.
216.
So
on, bro.
what's that's like a 40-yard average per
Bro,
30
come on, bro. We
per
didn't see them.
attempt.
We didn't see
But
them,
but
bro.
that doesn't necessarily look. I'm
Umar
not trying
Lewis
to take anything
accounted
away.
for 50 yards. Ashante Worthy. Guess how many touchdowns he had?
2.
1.
Only 1.
Guess how many
Oh yeah,
targets
that
he
one.
had?
1.
Didn't he pitch one back?
That was the one to Umar Lewis. That was Umar Lewis's second touchdown.
That he pitched to Umar?
No, wait. Yeah, you're right. He didn't get
pitched
the
it to
touchdown.
Cedric.
Yeah, so he got a second. He
pitched
got
it to-
2 catches.
They
They're
did the
counting the
pitchy woo-woo on that
completion
whole
of the.
thing.
They're counting the completion of the play.
The one we talked about. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were talking about.
Yeah.
But listen. Here's the
Oh,
thing.
that went
when
to
it's fi-
Cedric. That went to Shedrick Goodrich because the way
Shedrick Goodrich.
our stat system is built.
Right, exactly. Because on a reception, it's the last person to touch the ball. Yeah, when you
Yeah.
do the pitchy woo-woo thing, it makes Dave's job a little bit more difficult.
But even
But-
then, 2 catches, 2 touchdowns attributed to Ashante
eight-
Worthy.
8 throws, 200 plus yards means that those guys are wide open because they're also making big plays after the catch. So that's and again, I don't want the whole show to be about this, but that's more on the defensive coverage against their guys. With that drastic of a
Is it the
discrepancy
same
from
thing as
what
our
the norm
number
should be.
2? Is it the same thing as our number 2 and number 1 teams to where they just the amount of people, the amount of depth they have to where you can have Pac Money, Trey Robinson, Baby Joker all at running back. You're
Yeah,
not going to
that's
see
nasty
Courage
work.
until week 3. You have Ashante, you have Umar Lewis, you have Kason Campbell, you have
They also have Ice Cream Truck and SJ at running back. So
Yeah.
yeah, that is true, but that talks about something we said in the first game, that when you have a long list of playmakers, well, I think we actually said it during the BIC game, that they're competing with themselves when they don't have competition across the field. So that's one of the reasons why those guys are fighting for extra yards.
Well, they were actually practicing, so
Shout
no
out
competition
to
there.
Trey. Shout out to Trey Robinson, who made a huge
Yeah.
impact and it was visible.
That was cool, but I did want to make a mention, like, I heard another show briefly say they try to compare this whole, first off, we have to start letting go of some narratives. Vegas won a championship, but still talks as if people don't respect them for winning it. It's kind of weird because the amount of, glazing that gets done to the Insomniacs is, insane. We respect them now.
Well,
We
the thing,
respect-
Rob, you don't understand, I think, and I'll help try to clarify, is that when one team from Vegas wins the division, the whole division is champions and then talks as if they're better than every other. So when the
that's
Insomniacs
fine,
win the
too.
championship, the Gold, even though they aren't able to score or win any games, they're better than BIC because they're from Vegas.
Yeah, but no, that's stupid. But okay, and even if in that, right? To then say Trey Robinson, who's literally a product of Town Beef, PA, went over to Vegas, bust y'all ass, and then came back home to then say, oh, well, they say Vegas is bad, but Trey Robinson is doing work over there. Bro, he came from PA. He knows the game better than y'all. That's why he kicked y'all ass for 2 seasons. But
he
he's
lived
a
in
champion.
Vegas and played in Vegas for long enough that he is one
He's
of
not
the
Vegas.
reasons
No,
why
he's not Vegas.
Vegas
though.
is better than the
He's
Northeast.
not
Is because Trey
Vegas,
Robinson.
though. He's not. I don't give. Listen, it doesn't matter how you feel. This is my problem. It's facts over feelings. He's from Town Beef, PA. There's footage of him going up against Marcus McKinney. Hard body, bro. Back in the day.
But
In an
because
orange jersey, it doesn't. That's feelings. The fact of the matter is, the reason why Trey Robinson was one of the most dominant players in Vegas is because he knew the game from before. We covered his games in the fall brawl, Corey. We mentioned that several times. That his understanding of the game is the reason why he's above everyone in Vegas. So now that he is and was above so many people in Vegas, he comes back to the East and you claim him as your product? That's
But
insane.
but
That's fucking insane.
in the fall he played for the Outlaws, and the Outlaws lost to the Insomniacs. So because Trey now plays for BIC, the Insomniacs would beat BIC because Trey was on the out. Trey,
You're here, Corey. We've
Vegas,
got you.
Vegas is, guys. You can't say anything wrong about Vegas. They're Trey Robin. Just stop it, Rob. You're hurting people's feelings.
We broke Corey.
So
Speaking of that, number 2, the Las Vegas Insomniacs.
What?
All right.
Trey Robinson made 2 huge plays against the Snow Tribe. How do we? What?
Yo, cut it out.
Rob. Explain it, Rob.
No, cut it out, man. Insomniacs at number 2. Honestly, to put it as simple as possible,
the pit bosses want a fall chip.
The facts, but to put it as clear as day, that just wasn't their best performance. Just wasn't. I don't know if the force got better. I don't know if the crown is too heavy. I don't know if they weren't taking the game serious. I know they're a second half team, but to only beat the force, the way they did, it just shows me that they can pull so super no diddy. They can pull it out and win. But at the end of the day, struggling in your division like that is not really indicative to what we're looking for in a repeat champ.
How many weeks in a row, basically, right? How many weeks in a row do we have to see a team that tells us, that is talked about locally, and in general in the offseason was lauded to the level that I think they deserve, in the Insomniacs, which we all respect, and we respect the Insomniacs so much that we put the team that they beat further up on the list than when they started after a loss, okay?
Right.
So the list itself shows how much we respect the Insomniacs as an organization and a team.
Yeah, because we do.
The problem is how many weeks in a row do they have to be in a game against the air quotes inferior opponent that isn't as good as them, and oh well, we didn't take it seriously and we eventually won because we're just that good. No, that's not how this works. And if they're going to continue to play that game, well, if they're going to continue to play that game, they're going to get caught in a situation where the team that they're playing is just having too good of a day for them to make it up.
Yeah, and that's
the problem.
That is a dangerous.
The Alienators, which in the fall turned into the Pit Bosses, we saw that one, and then Sick With It in the fall championship were this close as well. Eventually, week after week after week, that this version of the Insomniacs come out and play an opponent.
You can't play like that. Yeah, you running a.
They're only winning. They're only winning by 2, maybe 3 touchdowns against teams that they say that they should blow out by 50, 60, 70.
Right. And that's a dangerous game to play. And again, I'm listening, Insomniacs. I'm trying to tell you, I was where you guys were. In 2016, we won the championship. The first game in 2017, we went into overtime with a team I've never heard of from Baltimore called the Bulldogs. Didn't know a single player from them. We struggled from top to bottom. I felt like they were faster than before. I felt like I was slow. They were strong. Bro, it's not easy to win and then come back and fight for that same thing you won for and defend it. It's just not. And
BIC felt so weird about that week 1 that they called Corey Hammond. That's what
it was a very strange time, right?
I accepted the call. But the other thing that I think we should talk about is something that I mentioned in Games of the Week. And, since the Insomniacs are alert now, right? We talked about it, Matt, last week when Rob wasn't here. I think they're going to care about the top 10 ranking now. One of the things that I said, and I would like to get your guys' thoughts on it now that we have more of a forum to talk about it, in more depth. And to no fault of their own, the Insomniacs, we talk about the physicality level or the opponents that they faced on their route, whatever. the defensive lines that we saw run out there for the BIC, but more specifically, a team that I think we might mention in a half a second in the Patterson U.
I don't even want to talk about that yet.
Can we at least let's get to number one. Number one is the Patterson
I know.
U.
Yeah, Matt's got to get. We got to get this thing moving.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk
the
about
defensive lines for the top 3 teams in the top 10, insanely impressive. The same thing for Quattrell, Huff, and holy shit.
Yeah, no, this is
just in case anybody's wondering, Matt. Just in case anybody's wondering, Matt, who was the top team in the A7FL after week 1?
It was the Patterson U.
I think it's true.
Yeah.
I think it's true. I think that when you look at the team that they played, the Watchmen are not a team that anybody should look down upon as not competitive or not good. And at times it looked like the U was playing on a different level than the Watchmen, even the Watchmen were capable of. And what Huff can do as a caller of offense, an executor of offense, I think is only matched by the ability for the playmakers all around him on both sides of the ball to make the plays. And I said it to you guys privately. I said it in the game. Jason Cizon's speed with Huff's IQ in creative ways to get him the ball in space is going to be a problem. And the defensive line, let's just list the names. Two Ramadans, Nick Mays, Big Burton, Medium Burton, who else are we missing?
Kevin White.
Kevin White looked amazing. Oh my God.
Isaac Negron. We said Nick Mays, J Rock at times, Booby Miles,
Snag Sosa on offense.
Snag Sosa.
Carlos Croslin in the secondary.
Bro,
who had an interception.
Yeah. It's an all-star lineup at the defensive line. And right now I want to highlight those guys because it's rare. And shout out to, Chill Out Duke, who had a child. Congratulations, brother. Welcome to fatherhood. You feel me? That's why he wasn't there.
Even though I thought he was.
So watch. I'm a former offensive lineman in the A7FL. At one point, there was debates on whether I was the best, at one point, right? I was competing with other guys at the level, and I was arguably the best at one point. What I saw from the defensive front of the U was probably one of the scariest things that I've ever seen as an offensive lineman, where the rotation was so disgusting that these guys were coming in fresh-legged. And then we got guys like Marcus McKinney would sneak on the line. And Fletch wasn't even there. So it's like the rotation was disgusting because it's like, who do you block? That one Immortals line was crazy. This U line is deeper. It's better. I think it's deeper. And the rotation with the Immortals line, there was just... Well, Gerald Bell and Tyler Affo, both of those guys they were monsters. They were monsters. They're kind of like the perfect version of what you want in speed, and strength, and with what I saw with these guys was, if you're an offensive line that's not that deep and doesn't have the talent in the rotation to keep up with having to deal with a new and improved weight loss Big Mo, his younger brother, J Rock, who's for whatever reason hitting the soul out of people, Nick Mays. Then you got to deal with Isaac Negron, a former defensive player of the year, Marcus McKinney when he feels like it, Booby Miles, who goes 150 miles per hour every play that he's in. Two Burtons. Two Burtons. And let's really pay attention to what a guy like Booby Miles is doing. Sometimes you don't see what he's doing. But a guy like me who pays attention to that front, Booby Miles sometimes takes up 2 blocks to then allow one of the other defensive linemen to come in and wreck shit. So named Devin White. Yeah. Right. Kevin White. So to Kevin White. I always do that. Yeah, it's all good. It's some scary shit on that defensive front. And it's like, I just hope offensive lines are ready. That's just one aspect. The offensive line for the U is another scary thing. You have Maurice Taylor anchoring that middle. You have M fucking dot at tight end. And you have Muggs on the left. On the Jason Cizon touchdown, we have wide receivers blocking down the field, and while Jason Sisson is running his ass off, you know who's running with him? Muggs. Muggs was running with him and taking a Watchmen corner or linebacker to hell. I didn't see that guy again. It was, you got to understand, when you got guys that
to the
size,
shadow realm. To the shadow realm.
Bro. It was so bad. And I know everybody's like, oh my God, Big Rob's glazing. Bro, I'm an offensive lineman, bro. I really appreciate shit like that. And we haven't even talked about Huff at all.
Listen,
yet. I don't even want to talk about the guy.
Kenny Mack himself has talked about how he appreciates, as an offensive lineman and a fan, seeing those big guys for the U get out in space, pulling, about to just mush somebody into the ground. But listen, the U, we talked about it preseason. As good as they looked last year in piecing it together, they have all of that plus
and some.
Plus getting Huff back, which obviously was apparent. But in bringing Huff back, they also got a couple of guys back that they didn't have, a couple of new guys that they're figuring out how to use. And look, we didn't even have to go into the Willie Mayweather, grinding it out or snags, right?
We didn't talk about fucking Mims. We didn't talk about. There's so many people. We didn't talk about Kyle Ward on defense.
And literally Pat Coburn, who I still will say is one of the best wide receivers in the league. He was wearing number 25 and had like a shiesty on the hide from the cold. Like the U.
Yeah, the U's dangerous, man.
They are, and until to quote somebody, and they might not like it, until somebody knocks them off, at least right now, they are the number 1 team on the 3-on-1 top 10 of week 1 of the A7FL's 10.
Talk that shit.
And next week on the pod, we'll break down the week 2 matchups. We'll start things off out west. It's the Hunters and the Insomniacs, and we'll end our day looking at the road to Season 10's championship. For Big Rob Fabian, for Corey Hammond, I'm Matt Ryan, saying, as always, don't be an asshole.
I'll try.